Amen. Good morning. Welcome to Unity. Welcome to this time when we open our minds and our hearts to infinite love and wisdom. Where we join together in an affirmation that our God is love, our race is human, and our faith is oneness. It's good to start the week this way. It's good to spend some time when we can find some space, find a sense of peace, find an experience of power, orientation towards goodness, with all of the things going on in our lives. So, think about what's going on in your life. And bring that into the space of infinite love and wisdom. So we'll have our prayer box brought up here. And in the same way, bring up within you something that you hope to get, or something that you hope to release from this time that we share together. An intention, a goal that you might have for this hour. And settle into this place. Let go and let yourself be. Let is a word for today. Let it be. We're now in the presence of pure being. We are now immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. Let yourself go into that presence and power. Open up to that Spirit. We acknowledge that gracious Spirit. And say, "Oh, sweet Spirit, in your infinite wisdom, erase my mortal limitations. Free me from what would hold me back and tie me down. Oh, sweet Spirit, from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation the desires of my heart. Create my world according to your perfect law." Here we are, open and receptive, surrounded and immersed in God's living Spirit. It is good. We are grateful. And so it is. And so it is. So, still saying Happy New Year? Sometimes we have to remember that the new year can be happy. Goals was the topic that I had in mind for today, because New Year's resolutions. So we were talking about in the last several weeks preparations for establishing those goals, for setting those resolutions by cleaning up and letting go of things, by establishing a relationship with God, by opening up to a foundational word, a principle that we could ground ourselves with in the white stone ceremony, and establishing a relationship with our partner in letters to God. And so now we get down to, what do you want? It's time to get specific. So that's a topic for this week. This weekend, we also are celebrating a national holiday in honor of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Because he made a big change in our lives. He made a big change in the world and revealed some principles and some practices that we can follow to make a change in our lives and to make a difference in our world. So, goals and resolutions and a dream. A dream. He said, I have a dream. You know, a dream is different than goals. A dream is different than a desire. It's different than an intention. A goal or an intention could be something that we want to do. A dream is something that we have or something that has us, that grabs hold of us. A dream is an inspired vision. And so I'm talking about a dream today as a divine idea, as a spiritual principle, a sacred story that holds us and moves us. It's powerful. A dream had Reverend King, inspired his vision. The dream, you could say, came from the mind of God. It had a couple stories associated with it. One of the stories was the story of non-resistance, the story of inclusivity, of the unconditional love of God for everybody, caring for the least of these from the gospel. Another story that inspired him was the story that ended up with the writing of the Constitution, liberty and justice for all. You wouldn't quite call that a goal, because it's bigger than a goal. It's bigger than an intention or a plan. It's a dream. It's an inspired vision. An inspired vision has power. It moves us. It seeks to be incarnated. It seeks to have life and a body to live it out. These big ideas. So, talking about two things here. We're talking about being deeply connected with God, with being captured by a dream, by being held by a sacred story, and then stepping out and doing something with it, taking some action, having an action plan. That's one of the ways we can think of goals, is that there are some steps that we plan to take. So this balance of inner and outer, it's like, I like to read, there's a daily meditation that I read from Father Richard Rohr from the Center for Action and Contemplation. So he's teaching meditation, basically, in the Catholic tradition, for the mystical traditions of Catholicism. And saying that leads into action. So a center for action and contemplation. So it's like the traditional stories of the warrior sages. Both centered, peaceful, powerful, transformative. We have both of those within us. We are called to be both of those, to live both of those out. Divine inspiration and inspired creative activity. I could use that as a model for our resolutions. And so there's an old phrase in Unity that go to God first and go to man as God directs. That was an answer to a question posed to Ernest Wilson. Ernest Wilson was a real early Unity minister. He was Charles Fillmore's minister. Okay, he conducted the wedding to his second wife. Anyway, someone asked Ernest Wilson about, do you people go to doctors? Because Unity kind of grew out of Christian Science, where they don't use the medical profession. He said, do you believe in going to doctors? And he said, no, what we believe is you go to God first, and then you go to man as God directs. You go first to the divine, and then you go to the world. You get the order right. And so we can use that as a principle for New Year's resolutions. You know what the most popular, the most common New Year's resolution is? Lose weight. Get in shape. You can tell that just by the advertisements that are on television in January. Okay, they outnumber the lawyers looking for accident victims. Why? What's the purpose of that? What stimulates that desire for weight loss? Well, it could be, I want to look good. It could be, I can't quite button this anymore. Our clothes can remind us. Our doctors could say your cholesterol numbers, your blood pressure. Okay, so there could be a lot of outer information that gives us the idea that I may need to do something about my physical well-being. That's the world. We go to God first. So what's the divine idea? What's the inspired vision behind weight loss? It's vitality. It's health. It's being taken over by God's life. It's maybe giving up the addiction to comfort food, using food as a way of bringing a sense of peace rather than the presence of God bringing a sense of peace. So start with that inner principle, and then from that inner principle, decide what actions are relevant. So the circumstances, things going on in our lives get our attention. And it's like, oh, okay, I need to do something about that. First of all, go to God first. We call on a divine idea, and then the divine idea calls us to action. What action? Well, we want the actions that we take to be consistent with the divine ideas, with the spiritual vision that inspires us. So, weight loss is one of mine, because I have a bunch of things that are hard to button. Okay, so it gets my attention. And I've tried a bunch of things. I've heard people say, do this. So I've done a water fast. I've gone a week or 10 days without eating, just nothing but water. That worked for a little while. I tried a macrobiotic diet where I ate nothing but brown rice for forever. That worked for a while, but it wasn't a long-term solution. The long-term solution comes from dealing with what's happening inside. And so I have to deal with whatever the issues are inside that I use to medicate myself with macaroni and cheese or pizza or ice cream or whatever, you know? So go to God first. Connect within. Connect with that spiritual foundation that underlies my life. And then take the steps that I need. So, a path of action flows from within, flows from the truth, the spiritual principles. And we start there and let our goals be set. Let the goals be set. Let them emerge from the dream, from the infinite love and wisdom that's present within us, so that the goals that we set are appropriate and they're achievable. Go to God first, and then to humanity, then to man, then to the world as God directs. So we notice something that's going on. We notice something that's wrong, that's out of order in our lives or in the world. It's a need. There's some event that might trigger us to action. Here's a historical example going with the holiday. So there's, in the Jim Crow South, in Alabama, a woman gets arrested for sitting down in a bus. And there's an outroar about the injustice of that. And the people said, we need a leader. We need somebody to get us, they're looking for a leader. And this Baptist minister who just had a nice little church, who had, just take care. An idea grabbed him, and it's like, it's not enough to just stay where you are, Martin. You need to get out of this church and to extend your ministry out there. Now, he came from a line of social active ministers, grounded in the gospel and in the ideals of the United States of America. Had goals, plans, empowered other people, and made a difference. The story: liberty and justice for all, nonviolence. It worked. It's working. Now, here's another example from this month. There's a perceived injustice. The government is interfering with people's lives. The government is overreaching again, is getting out of control the way it did in Waco, Texas. Something needs to be done about it. There's a trigger, a spark that gets something going. A story about a stolen election. Action comes out of it. Appropriate action? I saw one picture with January 6th, Jesus saves. And then there was a noose hanging from a gallows there. That doesn't quite fit. Or how about a Blue Lives Matters t-shirt next to somebody who's beating a Capitol policeman with a flagpole with an American flag attached to it? It's like, what? The actions are not necessarily appropriate. They're not appropriate at all. They need to be grounded in a principle. And so the government of the United States has certainly overreached itself, been really appropriate in many people's lives, and not just Native Americans and not just Black Americans. And to take appropriate action, we need to stop and get centered in infinite love and wisdom so that the actions that we take have an energy of goodness that make things happen. That's why nonviolence works. That's why love is creative. Love and oneness. The unfolding of a dream. You know, it's easy to dismiss people that we disagree with. The people that we disagree with have the presence of God within them. They have perceived an injustice. They have a dream that has called to them. And so we have more in common than we have dividing us. And so we go to oneness first. We go to God first. And then from there, we decide what to say, what to do. Okay, so that's history. That's society. How about us individually? Okay, individually, something comes up in our lives that gets our attention, and we want to do something about it. And so whatever it is, if it's or something in our relationship or our finances or our health or our sense of direction and purpose in our lives, something gets our attention, and we want to go to the principle and the story that is life-giving, that is creative and transformative, and that establishes oneness, something that's aligned with the flow of goodness from God. Okay, a lot of goals have to do with money, have to do with the checkbook balance. And it's like, God, give me the right lottery numbers. I'll believe in you if I win the lottery. I know someone who prays that every day. She hasn't won yet. One of my teachers in ministerial school would say, God does not care about your checkbook. God does not care about how much money you have in your pocket or in your bank account. As if, there's some being up there that cares. God cares about your consciousness of abundance. God cares about your aligning with the flow of unconditional goodness. And in that alignment, you get blessed, you prosper. So, God first, and then to the world as God directs. So, connect with infinite abundance for prosperity. Connect with divine life for health and vitality. Okay? So, You find the inner need, the dream that you can hold on to. You find the inspired vision that can grab hold of you and flow into action steps to set your goals. And so we connect with God and let our goals be set. So, okay. Another thing that's common in resolutions and goals this time of year is to not do something. Because there's not only what we want, but we also have to deal with the pollution that undermines what we want, that interferes with the message that comes from that divine idea within us. And so we need to release, and that's, Unity's tradition. Release and receive, deny and affirm. Inhale and exhale. Let your words be yes, yes, and no, no. Okay? It's that balance. We've heard that over and over again. So, God first, and then take some steps. The step might be stop doing this and start doing that. Okay? Go to God first. And so we could meditate, or we could structure that verbally. We could start with something like centered in God, or grounded in principle, living from the Christ within me, empowered by Spirit. Well, okay, how about empowered by divine order and perfect life? God first. I cast out my unconscious behaviors and eat and exercise appropriately. Centered in God's abundance, I release the idea of scarcity and set my financial goals. Living from love and oneness, I dissolve the idea of separation and open my heart to deep, loving relationships. We let our goals be set from the depths of our being. We let the dreams connect our plans, intentions, activities. So we go first within, and we're going to do that now in a meditation. We're going to do a meditation of going to God first, go into the dream, and then letting the dream set the goals. So I invite you to think of one issue. Now, you may have something that comes up right away. But we want to practice this principle on one issue instead of a whole list. Okay? You get the principle and then you can apply it to other things. And so, what's happening? What's going on in your life? You look around at what's happening in your body, what's happening with relationships with the other people in your life, what's happening with your work and play and finances and your sense of being on track, with your sense of making a difference and being in purpose. Does something get your attention? What's calling to you, saying, let's work on this one first? So, we have something on the table, something on our plates to deal with. And so we go to God first. So take a couple deep breaths and just let go. Let go. Let your body be supported by the chair, by the sofa, by the floor, wherever you are. Surrender to it. And in the same way, surrender to the presence of infinite love and wisdom. Go to the spiritual foundation that you have. Go to the ground of being, your bottom line, to God within you, however you understand that. You take that issue, you take that need to the presence of God. You might say, I need some help with this. I'm going to sit here with this. I'm going to sit here with God. I'm going to sit here openly, receptively, expectantly, gratefully. I am open to the dream that God has for me. You might say that. I am open to the dream that God has for me, for my body, relationships, finances, meaning, time here on earth. I'm listening. I'm open, receptive. I'm listening, watching, waiting, letting the dream set my goals here in the silence. I let go into the silence. Let go. Openly, receptively, letting clarity take place, letting goals be set in the silence. The presence of God within us calls us to do something, to say something, see something. And so, what words come to mind about now what? What might you visualize? What image might you hold to orient you and empower you? is there any interference? Let yourself become aware of anything that might have to be set aside or removed or discarded so that you could proceed with living out your dream. You might say, I release, I erase, I unformulate and dissolve. Whatever it is, so that we can get to I will. What will you do? What's a step that you would take? An action, a small step, in the direction of living out that idea that's in alignment with infinite love and wisdom, that can catch the energy of the flow of abundant life. Centered in God. Release limitations. And proceed in clarity, focus, ease, and grace. Let goals be set from the wisdom at the center of your being, and proceed with gratitude. Deep gratitude as you let it be. So we bless the steps that we're going to take, the action that we'll take, the way that we give of our time and our talents and our treasure. We bless our words, our connections with each other, the gifts that we give. We bless it all in the divine flow of unconditional, creative, healing, prospering love. We know divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am blessed and I am grateful. Amen. A couple of announcements. January is the time when members need to renew their membership. There are forms on the counter available for members to renew their membership. There's a place down there for non-members to express their interest in becoming members. So membership in the Unity Church of Greater Rochester is an annual renewable event. Okay, so we welcome your commitment to be an active part of this community. Okay. Next week, I'm beginning a new Sunday series and discussion series based on the book See No Stranger. It's about the power of love and oneness, erasing differences, creating space for us to live consciously, appropriately with each other, no matter how different we are. So it's a wonderful book. And there are links on the newsletter for videos that have some of the content. Okay, I'll be presenting the content and making up some discussion questions for it. So, now what? So now we proceed. Now we go out into the world. We have come together here. We have connected with a dream within us. And it has empowered us or oriented us towards particular actions that we take. And we proceed now in the light, love, presence, and power of God. Let's claim that for ourselves, saying the prayer for protection in first person today. Together, the light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace.